Now again, let's revise that what we covered till now. So for example, I take this example as this is packet. Okay, so when the packet first entered to the firewall first perform initial checks that we covered already. Okay, to ensure that there is a basic security and routing which is performed. Once this is done, then the firewall, when enters to the firewall, it checks for DOS protection test. If a packet has any relation with DOS attack, the packet will be dropped. So we are thinking that let's take as our packet has nothing to do with DOS protection. Now it checks for VPN. So we covered lastly that if there are VPN packets, then it performs decapsulation, which is decryption, and decapsulation will be performed to check the packets by doing decryption and identify if there is any suspicious threads inside that packet or not. If there is any, then the packet will be dropped. The third scenario, once after DOS protection and VPN decapsulation is applied, the firewall applies its firewall policy rules to the packet. It checks the policy, or we can say rules, for that particular packet. Accordingly, it applies netting. So this is the step I am showing on, and the firewall reaches to the WAN side. Correct. Now let's take it up as once the firewall basic rules are applied, the packet is handed over to the DPI engine. So the fifth one will be DPI engine. So the DPI engine checks if TLS encryption, IPS, application control, and web filtering, if this is enabled, then it will decrypt the packet. Correct. And then if the rule matches, rule or the policy matches, then the DPI inspect it and it allow or deny. Correct. If DPI identify anything in the application, then whatever action will be taken, either to block or allow the access for that application. Correct. Now here what IPS do is that the IPS will decrypt packet. Okay, IPS will decrypt their packet. Correct. Identify the known signatures or any malware patterns or any DOS attack, DOS or DDoS attack. Correct. It checks the payload by decrypting it. Correct. Once the decryption is done, then it checks with the original payload, and if any signature matches, then it will drop the packet. So we have covered, this is very simplified steps that could help you understand till now what we have covered. Sixth, now after the DPI inspected it performs inspection and applied policies to the packet. Then if there is any VPN packet, then it perform egress encapsulation again, because we have checked before. If there is any VPN, then it perform decapsulation. Okay, and so if there is any VPN packets again after decapsulation, okay, if they find out that if the packet is all good and there is nothing malicious found in that packet, then it again performs the egress encapsulation, okay, by adding all the headers again and encrypt it back. Now what next? It started sending the VPN, okay, VPN packets. Now after the DPI engine inspected the traffic from layer 4 to layer 7, so DPI engine works from L4 to L7. Okay, once the DPI inspect the traffic from layer 4 to layer 7, it checks for source port, destination port and sequence number, then flags, all the basic headers that comes in layer 4. It checks all that. So the DPI engine has one more thing called data acquisition layer, or we can say module. So data acquisition module, what it does is that it enables the firewall to handle zero copy. Okay, so what zero copy means, that basically when a packet moves from one layer to another, for example layer 3, then layer 4, then layer 7, okay, so under zero copy, what the basic criteria for the packet is that when the packet moves from each layer, it makes a copy, and that copy basically helps us increasing the buffer. So the buffer count will increase, and ultimately it will increase your CPU and processing time. So here the data acquisition layer, what it does is that it is under zero copy. So under zero copy, it avoids copying of data. When a packet moves in and out of any layer, it performs, for example, when the packet enter to TLS decryption, then application control or IPS, without having delay, so the delay will be less. Now once the firewall flow is classified, it moves the packet to the fast path, which means that once all the flow has been assigned, then it moved to fast flow. Why it moved to fast flow? Because the firewall already made a decision to move the particular packets into particular flow. So once the flow is assigned, the fast flow will take the faster decision, and the firewall will able to perform, helping the packet to reach to the destination. So as per this diagram, you can see that once the initial inspection is done, the firewall caches the decision, avoiding slower path to re-evaluate every packet. So that's what I said, that if a new packet of same type comes into the firewall already made a decision. So that could be easier for the firewall to perform the action on that particular packet. Correct? And so here you can see that once the packet enters, it takes the fast path, it checks DOS protection profile, then check VPN packets, then check the firewall policies, then it enters to the DPI engine. So you can see here that it directly from the fast path it enters to the DPI engine using zero copy, because they have data acquisition layer. Correct? So as under this example, you can see that the TLS traffic, so there is a TLS packet which is already showed over here in the square. Okay, so you can see TLS, I made a circle on it. Correct? So the DPI engine modify the traffic, it will check to inspect man in the middle attack or any threats. So from fast path, so from fast path it enters to the DPI engine, where using data acquisition it reaches to check TLS SSL packets. Correct? So what they will do on TLS SSL packet, they will inspect man in the middle attack or any active threats. Once the TLS connection is modified, the firewall needs to continue managing the potentially modifying the traffic for the entire duration of the connection. Okay. So for example, once the firewall found out that there is SSL TLS packets, what it does is that it checks the list of packets or all the packets under that connection. Okay, so once the connection is established, so it will check all the packets of that particular connection to check whether none of the packet has man in the middle attack or any threats available. Okay, to ensure that there should be secure measure. Now you can see in this diagram again that once the SSL TLS traffic is checked, they found out there is TLS SSL packets, they will decrypt it, they check man in the middle attack and other threats. Once they found out there is nothing, then they check for application IPS and web filtering. So you can see in this diagram that there is an application traffic, application that is identified. Okay, and IPS and antivirus scan. So you can see that this diagram has no files, so that's why it's not scanning any antivirus. Then again it's sent to the data acquisition layer. Once they found out that the application traffic, IPS and web filtering, once they found out that the traffic is safe, the decision will be cached, and which means that if there is any packet under this connection will not be inspected, means that if any packet in the future comes under this particular scenario will not be checked. Now the next step is that after this categorization means that the flowing of traffic and IPS decisions that has been done, right? So now as we discussed that the traffic will not be inspected. Again, after categorization and after IPS decision, the final offload of the connection to the fast path. So now the offloading will be performed to the fast path. Even though the traffic has been transferred to fast path, means that whatever comes up will be forwarded to the fast path, but still the DPI engine will work for their cryptographic processing. So cryptographic processing in short is encryption and decryption of traffic. Encryption and decryption of traffic. So for that, the DPI must work on, and it remains active throughout the session. DPI engine will be active throughout the session where the packets are moving to ensure that all the TLS traffic will be handled securely. So this is the entire packet flow for the Sophos firewall, that after categorization all, it ensures that the DPI engine should work throughout the session to check all the packets are encrypted and decrypted properly, and the TLS sessions are handled securely. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.